Hi, I'm State Representative Jim Struzzi, Chairman of the Republican Appropriations Committee, and I'm here at the 2025 Pennsylvania Farm Show with Secretary of Agriculture Russell Redding.
Good to see you.
Good to see you
Mr.
too,
Chairman,
Russell.
congratulations to you. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Russ and I have known each other for many years. He's come out to the district and he is just a great supporter, an advocate, an innovator, and a leader in the agricultural world. And as my constituents know, agriculture is huge for Indiana County and Pennsylvania. So there's a whole lot that we can talk about. I know we have a short time frame, but I want to touch on the avian flu. I know it's becoming more and more of a concern, and we have a significant investment in the diagnostics lab. So maybe touch on where we are with the avian flu, and then the lab proposal for the western part of the state, which obviously we're keenly interested in the Indiana County area.
Absolutely. So well, thank you. For raising this question. I mean, we always think about the migratory patterns being in the fall when birds are moving and the spring when they're moving. We've got so much activity here in the last couple of weeks. So we've got a problem in Delaware. We've got an issue in the Allentown area with the snow geese. West Virginia has a problem now. Ohio has a positive commercial flock. So again, high alert. It's out there. This high path AI continues to circulate around the globe. Every state in the country now has had high path AI since February of 2022.
Wow.
There's none in Pennsylvania commercially. Now we've had the snow geese problem, but the point is that it's out there. However, we saw something happen in 2024 that never happened before, and that was the jump from the avian species to the mammals, right? And dairy.
Big concern.
Went from Texas to Colorado to California. California's completely out of control at this point. We put in a quarantine back around Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Testing raw milk at the farm just to reassure. We've found nothing at this point, so that's all good. But in a state where you've got both a lot of dairy and a lot of poultry, and in some cases they're together, a huge concern. To the lab, I mean, we are fortunate to have 3 labs inside of the system presently at New Bolton Center, at Penn State, and of course here in Harrisburg. But we've known for a long time that we've had this sort of big void, right, in coverage and just access for the farmers in your region. And I heard it clearly when we came out to the breakfast, and there were 2 issues. There was a deer problem, and there was an animal health issue. So we're going to correct that. So we went out and with your help last year, got money to have a Western lab. We've got 4 proposals. We're closing in. We're not quite there just because there are a couple of things that have sort of surfaced in terms of the proposals and what is proposed and sort of the operations of that, and making sure that we're understanding like the long-term obligations of that lab and the operations of that lab. But I would say we're within like 30 days.
Okay,
I'm hoping like get it done. So we're closing in.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And then we also, in last year's budget, allocated roughly about $10 million for innovations in agriculture.
Yes.
And I know the governor spoke at the luncheon this morning and stated that you're going to be announcing some of those grants here soon.
Soon. We were together again on a walking tour of the farm show, and again, I'm hopeful that it's within the next week or 10 days.
Excellent.
We received 168 proposals for $68 million.
Wow.
For 10 million. I think we'll fund about 70 projects, but what's interesting is, and this was by design, is that there are some planning grants. There are some that are, I call them like farm level investments. There are regional investments, like if a regional supplier or processor or something like that. We've got a really nice sort of balance between the 3, which is good, but some tough decisions to make. The takeaway from all of that is, listen, there's a lot of really innovative people. There's a lot of need there to address competitive pressures, labor issues, whatever, but really great ideas.
That's great.
So I'm excited to finally get this launched, and we've talked about it a little bit like the Western Lab forever. We've been able to invest in research, find a good idea, or you have some innovative practice or proposal. And I think for us, we were very intentional about putting the Innovation Fund inside the State Conservation Commission. So there's an intersect between energy, the environment, and conservation and agriculture. So we intentionally put it there because we see things happening in the the methane digesters as an example with energy. But that just is one example.
Well, we're kind of building on that though, and that's a concern that I have, and I know that some of our townships and our municipal officials, our county commissioners, with the amount of farmland that's being bought up for solar farms.
Yeah.
I'm just curious as your perspective on that.
Yeah.
And is it a concern that you have that you're seeing all these massive solar farms coming in? Just your perception of that.
Yeah, there's, and I say to everybody, it's important. The context around that issue is important.
Yeah.
Context being, we're a state that prides ourselves in farmland preservation. We lead the nation in preservation. We have 58 counties in the state that are partnered with us on preservation, and inside every one of those programs is the principle to preserve and protect prime agricultural land, classes 1 through 4. Mm-hmm. That's important.
Yeah.
2, in the last census, from 2017 to 2023, we lost 200,000 acres of prime agricultural land.
Wow.
200,000. So I say to everybody, then you come along and you say, well, let's introduce some more competition for prime agricultural land. It could be single family housing, warehousing, solar. Mm-hmm. You can't control it all, but you have to have some rules, right? You can do both, by the way. I've run the maps to look at where the other classes of soil are. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of land in Pennsylvania where you can put the solar. Just don't put it on prime agricultural land.
Right.
Right, because it drives up the rental rates. I hear it all the time.
So it is definitely a concern then.
It's a huge concern.
Okay.
Yeah, we're overwhelmed with folks.
So the solution would be then to maybe have some stronger or firmer guidelines about where you can put these, where you can't, related to farmland. And
yeah, I think there's, we do it all the time in terms of like trying to guide the land development.
Yeah.
As you know well, we have vested by Constitution land use with local governments.
Yes.
But I say it all the time, but that's important. They clearly recognize agriculture is important. There are almost 1,100 agriculture security areas that are managed by township unit governments.
Right.
So we already know like where the ag is. Mm-hmm. I think it's a conversation worth having about how do you navigate this conversation of putting solar on, not at a minimum your class 1 and 2 soils.
Right.
And then put them on the soils that are less productive. Let's have a conversation about that.
Okay.
But I've said
I think we definitely have to.
The ag community is, you can do both. This is not about you can't do it.
Right.
I live in a county of Adams where we've had some real battles over this. And the issue has been not that people are against the solar, they're against putting it on the class 1 and 2 soils.
Okay.
Highly productive soils. We just ought to be a lot smarter than that in terms of managing our resources.
Right. Yeah. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
And then we have a few more minutes, so just in last year's budget, we allocated $4 million for the county fairs. And as you know, the county fair is huge for Indiana County. It's one of my favorite events to go to all week, just like the farm show here.
Right here.
And I always say to people, the farm show is like the Indiana County Fair times 1,000. But can you talk to me just a little bit about how that money will be utilized or how it has been utilized?
Yeah, well, thank you for the support. I mean, there would not be a farm show if we didn't have the 107 county and community fairs. I mean, you couldn't do any of that competitive exhibit stuff that we do on the other end of this complex. That's all comes from the county fairs. It all comes from the people who go to those county and community fairs. So there's a symbiotic relationship. The money, $4 million, it's a couple of things we do. One, the operational expenses for fairs to sort of help underwrite different classes of fairs. There's a second piece that's capital project based to do water line improvements, roof repairs, maybe adding a building, whatever.
Good.
And there's a third piece that is around supporting the youth organizations, 4-H FFA, that comes out of the racing or the fair fund.
Okay.
So, that's important. We're going to probably have a report back in the next couple of weeks from an economic impact study we did on PA fairs. It's going to be north of $1 billion of impact.
That's great.
Yeah. So you may hear me talk about that during the budget hearings.
Okay.
But there's a real need. Several fairs in the last 2 days have really asked about, hey, can you help us out with the capital project? I'm in need with this. I want to try to bring in tourism. So enhance the facilities.
But that's great.
They do a great job. They're a great partner.
I agree 100%. I think we're just about out of time here. So thank you for everything that you do.
Great.
Thank you for being a
pleasure's
wise,
mine.
smart voice for agriculture.
Yeah.
You know you have my support, and I'm definitely looking forward to the budget hearings coming up here in
likewise.
February, March.
Yeah, it's perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate what you
Secretary.
do. Thank
I'm going to
you.
go get another milkshake.